Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Welcome to the Kaur Show. This is your host, Gurinder from Australia, and I've got my co-host with me, Ranjeet from UK. Penji, Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
Hope you're doing well.
Yes, I am. Thank you.
That's great. So just to begin today's show, we'd like to thank our listeners to begin with. We had a wonderful last week since we started the introduction of the Kaur Show. We had so many messages and a lot of support and a wonderful motivational messages, making a lot of suggestions about what we can include in this show and what people would like to listen and what people would like to talk about on various aspects, about various women issues, social issues, and a lot more. Penji, how was your week? Did you hear any feedback or comments in this last week?
Yeah, it was really positive. I had a lot of people that wanted certain topics to be spoken about, judgment being one of them. And
awesome.
It was really good to have that feedback because it motivates us to do more as well.
Yeah, that's right. Yes. So thanks to all the listeners and who've been keeping an eye to watch this show. And I'm pretty sure for today's show, as we have already announced, people have been looking to get onto this show and, listen and talk about this topic. So I would like you to, Penji, introduce today's topic and tell us more about that.
Okay, so today we're going to be talking about the topic judgmental people and how to deal with judgment as well. And so the topic itself is quite a broad one, and we also have a special guest that's going to come on later on, Giani Sukha Singh, who will talk about the UK Sikh line too. So that's quite exciting. And also just to mention that in the UK today is Father's Day, so happy Father's Day to all those in the UK. And so if you're celebrating with cake, samosa, bagare,
wow.
So,
I wonder why it's not like same all around the globe. I don't think that we have Father's Day in Australia, but that's a different topic. Yes,
it's all different dates and times, but yes. Today is one over here. So the actual so the topic that we're going to be talking about is judgment and our thoughts on this within our, especially in our society, Punjabi, and the culture that we have. So. There's many lines that we hear as we grow up, which is like, never judge someone without knowing the whole story. And that's a typical line that we use because we don't actually understand. They don't understand us and we don't understand them, but we are quick to judge people all the time. And it is better to look at ourselves before judging others. And we never do that because children from a young age aren't born to be judgmental. But they grow in an environment where they're either having negative around them or the comments around them from their family members, and then they become like that too. So that's how they become negative and judgmental. But as you grow older, you have a mindset where you can choose and decide whether you want to continue that on or you want to step back and realize that we should be actually looking at ourselves as opposed to judging others. So we're just going to mention some strategies of what Guru Sahib says today as well in regards to the topic judgment. What's your thoughts, Penji, on judgment?
I think well said, Penji. And it's very true that not only in Punjabi context, but as a human, we have become very judgmental, I believe. We are so good at judging others. In fact, I think we have become experts on judging people, and we are constantly observing people. It seems like it has become a kind of a habit, what we can say. There is a tendency when we are judging people. And I usually, when I think about myself as well, I remember when I first wore my dastar, and I was very much like from inside, how people gonna judge me on that. So that's just one example. Like we are more concerned about how people are gonna see rather than thinking about how I'm gonna feel about it. So there is a fear of being judged. And I think that's really affecting our lives. And I'm sure if our listeners will agree on that as well. I'm pretty sure that everyone does have some experience, and every day we actually feel that we are getting judged, not only in the families, at a workplace, in our ordinary lives. So there is continuous, impact of being judged.
Yes. And if anyone has any, comments or want to talk about this topic, please leave some comments so we can talk about those as well. Another thing is when you actually judge other people, you're not actually defining them, you define yourself. You're showing your true colors of how you are as a person when you're judging others. And people hear good things all the time about somebody else, like HSC grades, or their family successful, or someone's become something really high in professionalism. But when there's something bad you hear, you believe it automatically. You believe these things. We don't ask. We just presume that's all. That's what's happened. But really, we don't even give a second thought to that, and that's the sad part. We presume really quickly. And we really don't know how that person is, or what's happening in their life, whether they, how hard it was for them to get out of bed, or how they should have that meal that day. We don't know the whole story, and we should think about other people's feelings before judging somebody or making comments. So the topic the point that I want to make today is about being compassionate. Not taking anything personally, because we take things really personally quite quickly. We don't take offense to it because families say what they want, and this one's difficult for some people. And like, so my mom, if I said to my mom, a couple of weeks ago, jalebi khaiye? And she said to me, and I just laughed off. But really, if it's somebody else, I would say, how can you say that to me? But I don't take offense to it. So it's little shorting and gallan like this that we can take out of context, but we haven't been programmed how to deal with strategies of how to deal with judgmental people. So I think that if we assume somebody is doing something bad to us, or someone is thinking something bad of us, it's normally not because of us, it's because of them. Something's going on with them. And if we put in our mind, like something's going on in their life, that will be easier for us to deal with, because we put a bahana in our mind. That's why they are like this. So that's what I try that strategy quite a lot, where I put a bahana, or they're having a bad day, that someone flashed at them, they're not able to manage that day mentally. You don't know what their mental psyche is like. But if we try and tell our own, it's much better.
That's right, yes.
Some Gurbani talk as well on this matter.
Yes, so even if we talk in Sikhi context, or the people who believe in God, so regardless of what religion is it, so we always say that God created all the creation. So that means if God is perfect, His creation is perfect as well. But it's our mind who always try to judge people based on different aspects of the life. And regardless, even if the person is the biggest liar or anything, a thief, or whatever you can think about it, I think still sometime our energy should be focused on how we can elevate the other person regarding that, despite that, looking into faults in that person. I think that's more important. And that's what even in Sikhi, when we talk about Chaddi Kala means that putting the other person in Chaddi Kala as well. It's not just about your own Chaddi Kala, it's about elevating the other person. So rather than making typical comments and looking low at the other person, making judgment, I think it's more about how we can uplift other. And when we do that, it's also, making yourself happy that when you're uplifting other people. So that's how we can talk about in Sikhi context. And we might share a Gurbani tuk on that, which I'll do in a minute. So just sharing something from Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji in Gurbani. And Penji, yourself and I believe many of us constantly and many times oftenly use this pankti from Gurbani, which is Hum nahi change bura nahi koe. But just ask yourself how many times we actually, trust that particular pankti in our real lives. Do we ever, feel that it's like hum nahi change, bura nahi koi. We always try looking faults in other. They just, if someone points fingers at you, we get so much mad. We get angry at that. We to minu keh kiਵੇਂ ਦਿੱਤਾ? Just imagine in our lives, does we actually believe in that particular Gurbani tuk? Benji, what's your experience on that?
I think it's I hear this line quite a lot. You know, we're not, you know, we're the bad ones, and this Bani is really powerful. You always hear it from Gursikhs, ke hum nahi change, bura nahi koi. We're no good, and it's just it's a very typical line, but I find it really inspiring because it's so true to the point. Ke aapa change te koi bura nahi hai yaar.
That's right, yes.
So we're not good and no one is bad. And that's a really good line in itself to use with children especially. So
that's right, yes.
And that way then they're humble as well and they're home. You know, they're able to control this feeling from a younger age as well. So I think it all starts from young age. But as we get older, we can make those decisions ourselves as well. I'm not good, but nobody is bad.
That's right, yes. And in the same context, there is another pangti which is mentioned on the screen as well. Na hum change akhiyen, bura na dise koi, which means I'm not called good and I see none who are bad. So I think सारी ਜਿਹੜੀ ਕਹਾਣੀ ਹੈ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਹਿ ਸਕਦੇ ਕਿ ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ ਪੜਨ ਸੁਣਨ ਤੇ ਸਮਝਣ ਦੀ ਹੈ। ਸੋ ਅਸੀਂ ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ ਪੜ੍ਹਦੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਆ, ਅਸੀਂ ਇੰਨਾ ਕੁਝ ਗੁਰੂ ਗ੍ਰੰਥ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਜੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਲਿਖਿਆ ਹੋਇਆ ਹੈ ਕਿ how not to judge others. Rather than judging others, we should be looking in our own minds. Rather than looking, you know, at the bad or evils or in other finding faults in other people, we should be actually improving ourselves. But ਇਹ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ. So I think there are many reasons. ਅਸੀਂ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕਾਮ, ਕ੍ਰੋਧ, ਲੋਭ, ਮੋਹ, ਅਹੰਕਾਰ, all these Maya kind of things. So ਉਹ ਆ ਜਾਂਦੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਤੇ ਉਹ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਇਹ ਸਾਰਾ ਕੁਝ ਰੋਕ ਦਿੰਦੀਆਂ ਨੇ. And probably another one I'm going to share here is again from Guru Granth Sahib Ji, and here Guru Nanak Dev Ji is telling, Nanak parkhe aapko ta parakh jaan. So which means, oh Nanak, if someone judges himself, only then is he known as a real judge. So बहुत सोना गुरबाणी ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਲਿਖਿਆ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਜੱਜਿੰਗ ਕੌਣ ਕਰ ਸਕਦਾ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਕਿਹਨੂੰ ਕਰਨਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ ਹੈ। ਸੋ ਆਪਣੇ ਮਨ ਨੂੰ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਉਹ ਇਸ ਚੀਜ਼ ਲਈ ਸਮਝਾਉਣਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ ਹੈ। So that's very true, Benji. Alrighty.
So with that last,
so there's so much
line, when you're talking about you know, Guru Sahib talking about how we should judge ourselves, and then that's when we're the real judge. I think that's a very good example, but a very it's hard to practice actually.
Yes.
How are we judging ourselves? What is the technique to judge ourselves? How do we start this? And if we just talk to ourselves within ourselves about judging ourselves before looking at others, we actually become a much better person as well. And the other thing I would like to mention is, like, is there any point when someone is judging you, is there any point in explaining to them and how you are, how you're feeling, or should you just let them be and how they think of you, which is misunderstood? So if anyone's live and comment on this, should we be explaining ourselves to other people, or should we be just ignoring them and carry on? Which is actually the best strategy with that, because that's a hard one. That's what I think.
That's very right. And I'm just thinking of an example that we had in the past. For example, when I came to Australia and I was working in a call center, and you know how the customers are always like calling and they just very angry, giving you angry comments as well. So one thing I was thinking is, so one thing that we were taught in the training when in the call center was that don't assume that that person is giving those comments onto yourself as a personal comments. Don't take them personally. So I think that was really motivational. And that's what I thought, okay, sometimes people are angry. That's their negative energy. So that shouldn't actually impact you in your life. If maybe they had a bad day, as you said before as well. So we shouldn't be taking everything personally at that stage. I think we should leave it on time and just, you know, let that person rethink in their minds and, you know, come back in a day or two. And that happens in our real lives, on a daily personal lives as well. It all depends what energy, how you are living as well. So I think that's very important.
Thank you. We've got a comment from Singh, well explained, SinghStation. Thank you.
Yes, and Apenji, I think it's also a time to introduce our guest and welcome him to the show so that we can bring him and carry on this conversation. So let's welcome Bhai Sukha Singh ji.
Vaiji Khasa, Vaiji Fateh.
Can you hear me?
Welcome to Giani Sukha Singh ji.
Vaheguru ji ka khalsa, Vaheguru ji ki fateh.
Vaiji Khasa, Vaiji Fateh.
All right, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Hanji.
So welcome to the show, Paisab ji. We are so excited to have you on our official first episode of this Kaur Show. And Penji, I'll let you introduce Paisab ji.
Oh, Vaiji Khasa, Vaiji Fateh. How are you, Paisab?
I'm very, very good. Thank you. How are you all both?
Yes, good, thank you. So we want to hear about the UK Sikh Helpline and how you've been there and how it's been beneficial in the UK to have such an amazing team helping the Sangat.
Well, the Sikh Helpline been running for quite a number of years. Like I'm originally from Malaysia. I've been here for the last 30 over years.
Mm-hmm.
And let me give you a background how we started the Sikh Helpline. I do a lot of youth camps, youth activities, and so on. In about 25 years ago, I think in 1995 or something like that, when we had a youth camp, a Sikhi camp. In that Sikhi camp, we had an open discussion. I still can remember the topic is Sikhism in Western society, how do we survive? And in that discussion, there was a young girl, I think about 13 years old. She started expressing her feelings, how lost she is, how she's facing bullying in school. They've been calling her names, pushing her around. She said, my mom and dad is from India. And when I go to the Gurdwara, the Gianis are from India, the Prabandhak Asyani, and she felt totally lost. And then that what actually hit my mind. And I asked myself, you know, these young kids, we teach them the value of Sikhi, we teach them culture values. And when they face problems in school or when they face problems out at work, and when they turn around, there's no one helping them. So I actually went to the school, took the parents and resolved the matter at that time about 25 years ago. And then from there, I realized that if she's going through this, I'm very sure a lot of other people are going through bullying and so on. And we started gathering together and just not even expecting it to be a charity or national helpline. I just thought that, chalo, AV seva kar liye na. We started a Sikh Helpline at that time. We printed a small piece of paper saying Sikh Helpline, you need help, come and contact us. And we went to all the Gurdwaras, we put it around, we said, anybody facing any issues, anything, call us. Voluntarily, we'll go and help and support you. And I was surprised to get a lot of calls. People been bullied, then we got relationship issues, then slowly end up having drugs and alcohol issues. And then we realized there's so much issues out there in the community where people actually need the help. And that is where we actually started the Sikh Helpline. I did the Sikh Helpline voluntarily, I think about maybe 15, 16 years while I was doing my own work, while I was at Giani in the Gurdwara and so on. And that's where I realized, I said, I think this time for us to establish it, it's time for us to get it into a structure. And I got more people involved, and then we charity registered the helpline. We have got 3 trustees, and we got a management group, a very good group of people who are actually putting a lot of time and effort. So that's how we actually start off the Sikh Helpline.
Okay, and so can you give us some scenarios about people being judgmental? How do you give your comments when people ask for help? How do you respond to them without being judgmental?
Well, the truth is, the main one reason we start off this helpline is because of the same judgmental issues, because people are afraid to be judged. Whenever they face problems, they face difficulties, they are afraid to go and ask for help, because if they go to the Gurdwara, they know the whole world will find out, people will start judging them, looking down at them, and then they don't want this kind of thing. So they are actually suffering in silence. So that's where we felt that we should do something. That's the reason we started the helpline. And the calls we get a lot of different calls from domestic violence, from alcohol, drugs, mental health. If you're asking for example, I'll give you one simple example of a domestic violence call. There was this lady, she came to the Gurdwara Sahib. She was actually crying and matha taking in front of Maharaj, asking for help and support. And while she was walking out, she saw the Sikh Helpline banner outside. And she just felt that Maharaj given her a signal to call the helpline. And when she called us, we were just shocked that she was a 21 years victim of a domestic violence. She'd been tortured, beaten up. The husband is an alcoholic. She got 2 kids. She told the kids not to interfere. You study and build something for yourself. Let me take this pain and let me resolve this matter myself. And after 21 years, she could not take it anymore. She came to the Gurdwara in tears, and a volunteer got involved. And the problem we have sometimes, when there's crime happening, they don't want the police to get involved. They don't want the authority to get involved. You know? That is the biggest issue we have in our community. So what we did was we got the kids involved, because her safeguarding comes first. So we got the kids involved. We got a professional helpline volunteer who deals with domestic violence. Went down, spoke to her, got the kids involved, and had a very serious discussion with the dad. And since then, the dad did not raise his hand again. He realized that if I raise my hand, I'll be thrown out of the house. And he never actually raised his hand or did anything to the wife again. And the same lady came to the Gurdwara. She took a Amrit, and she actually thanked the helpline for the service and support they get. And there's a lot of issues out here in the community. We had a young lady given birth to a baby girl, and I was shocked. It's still happening in UK that the mom asked her to leave, the mother-in-law asked her to leave the house. She said, why didn't you get a baby boy? So can you realize these kind of issues are still happening around, which a lot of people do not actually know what's actually happening in the ground level. So this kind of calls we do get on the helpline.
And with COVID just happened now, with the lockdown, how's that been with the calls that have come through? Have you had a lot more issues, or is it just the same? Or
with COVID, frankly telling you, we are more busier than any other days because everything is locked down. Domestic violence cases have increased, and then we got depression. We got people loneliness. They don't know what to do. They cannot stay at home, so they just give a call and talk. Not only that, you even get calls from other agencies who are handling domestic issues. They are short of staff. They don't know what to do. They don't know how to how to help their own the people who come to them. So they have actually contacted the helpline. They've given us a lot of cases where we got our volunteers calling them every three times a week just to give them the support. In food, a lot of older generation who cannot leave the house. So we join hands with Guru Harai Gurdwara in West Brom. We join hands with them, and they got a team who go out to the houses and give them food. So some of the victims, they are vulnerable in their state. So we actually send Russian pani or Langar pani to the house and help and support them. And if you really tell me, it's going to take a lot of a longer time to get through this COVID in their mental state, which they are in now.
Yeah.
So Giani, I have a question. Like, what do you usually suggest to the people? Like, when you see people are being judgmental, and that's the main cause of, the problem. So what's your usual suggestion, how to deal with that?
I think that is a very, very strong topic. Like in Gurbani, it says, "Bura pala kisnu kahiye, sagale ji tumhare." We all belong to the one Vaheguru, so who shall I say bad and good? What people fail to see is beyond it. They see the action of the person, but not why he's acting on that kind of behavior and what has he gone through in life. If I give you one simple example, if you go to the Sikh Helpline YouTube, there is a small clip by a gentleman. He has got bipolar. He used to come to Gurdwara, and I know a lot of them, they'll do like that, but they don't realize it's an illness, it's something which is not in his control. He got bipolar. Bipolar means you are extreme in both levels. You'll get very angry and you'll get very depressed in a second. And And he is, I did a small video of him. He is explaining about his lifestyle. He said there are some gurdwaras actually banned him from coming to the gurdwara. And some of his old friends have stopped talking to him because he uses his anger. He gets angry very fast, but not realizing that it's not his fault. It's not him. It's just an illness he has. So when I did the video, he explained his whole life history, how he went through, what he went through, and how he got professional help, and how he managed to control his bipolar. When he gets angry, he'll go for a walk. When he gets depressed, he'll come to the Gurdwara and talk to all of us. So that's how he managed his illness. And when we did a small video, we sent it out. And it was just shocking that a lot of his old friends actually call him up and apologize to him and tell him that we judged you, not realizing that you're going through a very tough life. You're going through an illness, which is not your fault. We should have supported you other than judging you or blaming you or pushing you aside. And one of them took him for a dinner and apologized to him. And he was quite sort of shocked about the whole thing. So sometimes people just jump and judge each other. You need to look at the backstory. What is the story? If I tell you one more small example of a mom and a 10 years old, a boy, they were very depressed because of whatever situation the mom went through. And the mom became so depressed that automatically the son who's 10 years old, he's also depressed. And they locked themselves up in the house for at least a year. The mom did not send the son to the school, and they were just indoors all the time. Even the social services sort of judging the mom, saying that you're a bad mom, you're not sending your son to school, you're not giving him a life, and sort of blaming and judging the mom all the way through. And when the Sikh Helpline received this case, we sent one of the volunteers to talk to the mom. Our Sikh Helpline volunteer said that it took her two months actually just to win over the mom's trust, because she lost her trust, she lost her faith in all organizations, all gurdwaras, all kind of services out there. And she just locked herself. She's so in a dark place. She came to a state, she's saying, what's the point of having a life if this is what our life is? So she's going towards suicide kind of thoughts. And when our volunteer got involved, we took 2 months to win over her trust, and then managed to get the boy to a school which he prefers. And the same time, we spoke to the social services. Now, this is what the volunteer, Sikh Helpline volunteer told, that she called the social service down to the house, and she explained her past, what she went through, what kind of life how she suffered, and so on. And the social service lady, she said, I saw tears in her eyes, and realizing that where I'm supposed to be helping her, I'm actually judging her. And that's where she actually gave full support to this lady. And the same lady now, she gone back to work, and the son gone back to school. And they send a thank you card to the Sikh Helpline. And this is where we should not be judging people immediately. We should try to understand where they're coming from, why are they like that, or what is the story behind it.
So, like, for example, when you are being judged by somebody, should you be defining yourself? Should you be explaining yourself to them of your situation, or should you be ignoring it? How do you deal with judgmental people? What's your best way? With this lady that you've given the scenario about, she was in a dark place, so it's probably difficult for her to get up and say, defend herself or defend her corner with her child being at home and etc. But with us generally, how do we deal with judgmental people when they make comments to us?
Well, it's quite difficult because some people, they can be very, very stubborn, and they have only their mindset. Sometimes someone who is judgmental, I don't even judge them, because that is their avastha, that is their understanding, and that's how they think. It's just their level of thinking. The only thing you can do is sort of bring the awareness and make them understand that, look, you cannot judge people like that. If you give a lot of different examples and then sort of make them understand that, no, this is the wrong way of thinking. The same like the video we made for this gentleman who had bipolar. When we made this awareness video, it actually opened up a lot of people's mind, and they realized that, hold on a minute, we are judging him, but we should be helping him, supporting him. So this is how we actually try to convince people that you should not be judging anyone. Even though someone is a sharabi, we have to understand why is he drinking. Is he having problems at home? Is he having problems in school, or at home, or with family, or financial issues? There's a lot of stories behind the story. So we really need to go down to the foundation of the issue and then try to help them from there. Because if you judge on their actions, then you will not get it right at times. That's the way we look at it.
So if somebody is negative towards you, would you want to find out why they're negative towards you, or would you want to just leave them to it?
Well, it depends on the situation, how negative they are. If they are really in anger mood or very aggressive, then it's best leaving it, because you need to have a cooling period. You need to let them cool down before you can talk to them. Because same like an alcoholic person, like now we have helped a lot of alcoholic people from our Sikh Helpline. We've got 2 detox centers we're working with. So when someone calls the alcohol issue, we get the detox professional to go down, talk to them, get them to rehab, get them to detox. They said you cannot have you cannot have counseling, or you cannot talk to an alcoholic person. They can promise you anything in the world, but they'll never actually fulfill it, because they're not in control of their own self. So once somebody is in that state, he said you need to get them off alcohol, and then you can actually sit in counseling. You can do counseling, you can talk to them. But in the same sense, when someone is very aggressive, it's best leave them alone. Let them say anything. For me, I always tell myself, if someone judge me, I say that is your opinion, that is your thoughts, that is your saying. You're not Dharamraj, you're not Waheguru, you're not God. Whatever you say is your opinion, so it doesn't really matter to me. So I'll just brush it off. But I'll only talk to them if I know they're in the state of you can actually sit and talk to them.
Thank you, Giani ji. That's I think very very good explanation of how we should be strengthening our mind. So just ਜਿਵੇਂ ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਬਾਰ-ਬਾਰ ਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਫਰਮਾਨ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ ਕਰਮੀ ਕਰਮੀ ਹੋਏ ਵਿਚਾਰ. ਸੋ ਬਾਰ-ਬਾਰ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਸਾਡੇ ਕਰਮਾਂ ਦੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਗੱਲ ਹੋ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਜਿਵੇਂ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ ਤੇ ਫੇਥ ਰੱਖਣੀ ਹੈ. So ਅਸੀਂ if we talk in like Sikhi context, how do you think like we can strengthen that belief, that faith ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜੀ judgmental ਹੈ, that we should be judging ourselves rather than judging other people? Do you think ਕਿ ਸਾਡਾ ਵਿਸ਼ਵਾਸ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਪੜ ਰਹੇ ਜਾਂ ਇਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਸਾਡਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਅਸੀਂ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਜਜਿੰਗ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਦੀ?
I think that is one big factor, because once you walk on the path of Gurbani, then obviously it brightens up your mind. It makes you understand what Marada Pana. It makes you understand what do not talk ill about others or bad about others. No, a Sikh should be parupkar. Should be helping others, not pushing someone down. So Gurbani do help a lot. Even in depression, if someone is really into Gurbani, it's very difficult for them to get depressed because they accept Maharaj Padana. Even though like if someone passed away or something like that, if you look at Aam Bande, they go through different stage of grieving. But a Gursikh, he accepts Maharaj Padana. That's the final stage of grieving. They just jump to the final stage. So Gurbani do help in many different ways. But the other thing is, are you in that avastha? Are you in that level to understand what Gurbani is saying? Because some of us might be walking on the path, but might not have the faith and trust in Gurbani, or might not even understand what actually Gurbani is saying. And obviously, yes, for my understanding, if you give Gurbani quotation or you give life stories to someone, I think that will really open up their mind and make them understand not to judge others.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I think that's actually really inspirational that you've said that when somebody is negative towards you or judgmental, it is better to say, like, that's your opinion. That's your thought process, Hannah. And then that's where you think, well, at least Guru Sahib's with me all the time. He knows, Hannah. Yeah. So that's actually a really good point to put it like that.
Yeah. And usually we see in our lives, jada banda, like when the person is living alive, we are usually judging him more and more. When the person died, we usually, bada changa hunda si, and he was like that. We start counting on the good things of that particular person. So that's how we are actually living this life. So I think that's another important कि ਜਦੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਜੀਂਦੇ ਆ ਉਦੋਂ ਇਨਸਾਨ ਦੀਆਂ ਗੁਣਾਂ ਦੀ ਸਾਂਝ ਸੋ ਬਾਰ-ਬਾਰ ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ ਚ ਵੀ ਆਂਦਾ ਲੈਟਸ ਸਾਂਝ ਕਰੀਜੈ ਗੁਣਾ ਕੇਰੀ so ਅਸੀਂ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਗੁਣਾਂ ਦੀ ਸਾਂਝ ਹੈ we should be focusing on that. I think the more we do that, the more we become less judgmental. And that's what Sikhi is about, becoming better and better every single day. And that's what we need to focus on. So I think Jesse, yahi soch liye ki every day we are to become a better Sikh or a better human. That's where we can start. As ek din maybe in one day it's not possible for me to become a non-judgmental person, but I can, keep some milestones. Ke aaj main eh karna hai. I won't be judging person based on this and that.
So, there was this. I attended this small meeting before, and this is more for this guy. He gave me a very nice kind of system. He said I've got black small stones in white stones in my hands. He said I'll keep it in my pocket. He said as I pass by through the day, if I do something bad or I judge someone or I do something wrong, because I'm a human being, I will do the mistakes. Now I'm not perfect, So if I do something wrong, I'll put a black stone on top of my pocket. He said as I go on, if I do something good, I'll put a white stone. He said end of the day, I'll take out my top pocket and see how much good and how much bad I've done in my life on that day. And then he said I'll try to improve myself. And it was quite interesting the way he explained that because we're a human being, sometimes we even do things not realizing that we are doing something wrong. But once you realize, okay, I've done something wrong, so I put a black mark there, and then I keep on counting and try to decrease the black beads in my pocket and increase the white beads. And that's how we all humans are. No?
That's actually a really good strategy for children as well.
Yeah.
So that would actually work really well with children. I might try that one.
Also, if you come, we are no different. We all are these children, and we all do mistakes in our life. So sometimes it helps us to think, okay, I've done so much bad today and very little good things. So I need to improve my lifestyle into something more better for people.
I think when it's adults, we think before we speak in some way, and sometimes that can come quite nasty or mean and spiteful. When children, they're so poorly, they just say how they feel. So we once went to a swimming pool when the kids went swimming lessons before COVID, and the kids saw somebody without a limb on their arm, and they looked and they just stared at this girl and said, "Mummy, where's her arm?" And I was like, "Oh my gosh, we don't say that out loud." I says, "Oh, but," and she was right there. So I just said, "Oh, come on, let's say hello to her. Let's embrace," because she had she had to wear a swimming costume different and whatnot. So we went to her and we spoke to her, so the children would know. But this is up to parents to teach the children that everyone is equal, and if they're without a limb, it's not their fault. But if children just speak their mind, it's better to embrace them to the situation and let them know that this person is still a person with feelings. So I had to say to them afterwards, thoda soch ke gal karida hunda hai, like, they are, as a person there, they've got feelings, but why don't we talk to them, say hello, how are you, so they can feel like you're not just staring on an outsider,
Yeah, it makes a lot of difference. Like this person who had bipolar, whenever he comes, that okay, he got kind of illness. Now I always smile at him and I bluff at him. And that one smile brought a big smile in his life.
Yeah.
And every day he say, whenever I come, you always smile at me. He said, it just brighten up my day. He says, some people, they look at me, I know what they're thinking straight away. They're judging me of my bipolar. I said, no, the small things, small actions you do, it does change a lot of people's life. That's what I feel.
No, that's really good. I really enjoyed this session with you talking about strategies and techniques of how to deal with people. I think that's really good. Really, really good.
It is important. Like ever since we run the helpline, I realized there's the amount of issues people having out there. You'll be just surprised to know the kind of cases we receive. And sometimes, like you just say, like bullying itself. Quite a number of years ago, I had this case where the mom called the helpline and said, "Look, we're having big issue at home." What happened is the son was being bullied in school many times, and the father got so fed up. He told the son, "Look, just cut your hair And when you grow up, you keep your habit. Then you walk back on the path of Sikhi one. And the mom said, no, I'm not going to let him cut his hand. If he cuts his hand, he'll never keep it back. And can you imagine that bullying turned into a big row in the house between the mom and dad, had a big fight at home, you know? How it, the whole family is affected with this bullying in school. And I told the dad, I said, look, that is not the solution. And I said, the thing is, if someone is bullying your son, you need to deal with the bullying, not giving up your Sikhi or cutting your hair like that, you know. If he doesn't want to keep his hair, it's a different matter. But if someone is bullying you, you need to deal with it. And we went to the school and we resolved the matter. This kind of small things. And then there was a 14-year-old boy. I don't know how he went to the pub. He got drunk and he came back home. And like you were saying, how you should teach your kids and put them in the right direction. And this 14-year-old got drunk and they put him in the cab and sent him home. And the parents, the mom called me up and said they were having a big row again at home with the family. And when I went down, I told the parents were fighting with each other. They were blaming each other that you are the cause of their son drinking. And I told her, look, you can have your fights later, but I think your son needs the help first. You need to give him you need to get him out of the situation he is. So we got someone professional and help him out. And when I was talking to the mom and dad, the mom actually turned around and said that my husband, now the boy's father, he said at the age of 5, when the boy was 5 years old, he said, son, have your first sip. And he gave the first sip of alcohol at the age of 5. He said, what do you expect him to do? He's going to be an alcoholic. He's going to be a drug addict. He's not actually helping him. I told the dad, you're not helping your son. You're actually putting a nail in his coffin. Because whatever you're going to do, he's going to do the extreme of it. And then it'll be too late to control the situation. So it is very, very true. You can teach your kids when they're young as much as you can. Or once they're grown up, and then obviously they have their own mind and own thoughts of dealing with life.
Yeah, I think that's very well said. Kenny, I have a question. You know, like if I look in a small cohort of just say Sikhi Sangat, especially with women, just dastar banni, and many girls, they actually have to take this very hard decision. Badi families like parents will tell their girl child कि नहीं तू dastar ajay na ban, maybe just seek tera vyah kitte hona hai, where you're gonna get married. I think that's a very hard question and hard decision for especially females to make sometime. They feel कि पता नहीं, like, will they get a relevant matchmaking or not? They see the stars जाइए कि ना जाइए. So I think, do you think that is a fear of judgment, like how people gonna see? And it also happens like in Sangat as well. Sometimes other people, they might be non-Sikh or they might be Sikh but not wearing the star. And they feel like, oh, you know, these the star people, they might be very rigid kind of people. We shouldn't be speaking to them. No, dar bhi bahut lagda hai. So how do you think judgment is actually playing in that? Where is that coming from?
I think personally, I do know a few families who have the same problem. I think I know 1-2 of them actually even removed the star because the parents feel you cannot find the right partner and so on. You know? But I think that you should be who you are. If the person cannot accept you as what you are, I said, what life you're going to have in the future, you know? That means you're going to be someone else just to please someone else. I don't think that is the way of life. You know? I think that's where the society or the Sangat or the Gurdwara should really change people's mind that no, if you're wearing a dastar doesn't mean you're very narrow-minded or doesn't mean you're too religious. No, that doesn't mean we are exactly how everybody else is. There's no difference whether you wear dastar. Yeah. Of course, if you really ask me, if you wear dastar, you'll be more in discipline, not doing the wrong thing and doing the right thing, than anything else. And so practically, people do make the judgment, and I think this is where the Sangat and Gurdwaras should bring more awareness to the community about this matter.
Yeah, and I'm sure, I think it happens with the Singhs as well. Ki main like daadi banani hai, khulli hai, and that's how I feel. Ki nahi, like maybe I should, tie my beard at the work. Western countries, which I should be wearing these type of clothes. So this is all type of the questions that sometimes come in our mind. Ki, how should I even dress up? And rather than feeling like what's coming in my mind and what I wish like, we are more focusing on what other person is thinking.
Because that is very, very true. No? That when you start focusing on others, like sometimes you get a call in the same time the lady said that oh, everybody is talking about me now, everybody is sort of looking at me. I say, why you worry about what people are thinking or looking at you? And they're not going to be there when the time comes. They're not going to be there when to pick up the pieces when you're having problems. You know? I say you should take care of yourself and you should do what the best you can do for yourself. You know? You should be who you are. I've been to college with my bana. I've been even now I go for meetings. Even we have meetings in the home office, in the police stations, and everywhere. I wear my bana and go because that's what I am. I am what I am. I rather be what I am, other than trying to please someone by wearing a tie or a shirt. I'm not saying you don't wear it. No, whatever you feel comfortable, you wear. But you should not change your lifestyle for others.
Yeah. So I think that again the focus comes like now. Of course, you have told us some of the strategies how we can actually do that. But again, maybe could you share some more tips on, again, we know that it's the fear inside our own mind that is actually, making us scared of how the other person is going to judge us. And it seems that when we are thinking of this, we are actually judging two people. We are judging the other person, how that person is going to judge us, and then we're thinking about our fear as well. So I think we need to control that fear. So probably if you could share some of the tips, that we can implement to overcome that in our day-to-day lives.
Yeah, well, I'm not really expert in that, but I can just give you my life experience. Like I said earlier, that sometimes when we are afraid that people are going to judge us, but the thing is, you need to convince yourself, man, to jo swarup hai apna mool pashan, recognize yourself who you are. You belong to your guru, and you should not be afraid of what people are going to say. Like I said earlier, that end of the day, if anybody says anything, it's just their thoughts, it's just their opinion, and they are not the one who's going to judge how you're going to live your life. It's just their opinion. If someone wants to think bad about me, I say, fine, go ahead, think whatever you want. It's just your opinion. You're just another strange person in the world for me. So for me, what I do, my actions, my own actions, what I do is more important. Every steps I take, I do good things. How people doing all the good things, the positive things. I think that is more important for me than what people are going to think about me. Even sometimes when I do Gurmat camps and I do Sikhi camps, I know that I'm not, sometimes when you do things, I don't expect people to sort of appreciate it, because I'm not doing for them. I'm doing it for my seva, I'm doing it for my guru. If you focus yourself more towards that side, so whatever people say, whatever people think, it will not affect you. If you let it affect you, that means you're actually losing the game, and you're allowing them to control your life. So you have to rise above it and move forward and just do whatever you need to do.
Yep. So maybe I'm going to ask a personal question. Were you always do you think you were ever judgmental, and how did you actually walk on this journey? Was it your family support? Was your upbringing of yourself, your culture, or your sangat? What was your main motivation behind, or learning this?
My big motivation is there's a Giani in Malaysia. His name is Giani Singh. I used to pass by the Gurdwara, and then I started. I used to play tabla, so I go and join him and start playing tabla with him. And he told me about his life history. He's also from Malaysia, and he's saying that he used to be a drug addict for 14, 15 years. So he has seen the other side of the world, the other side of the life. He said once he was walking to a Gurdwara, and so from here, from this one story, you actually can sit and think. If you see someone, you cannot really judge him, because you don't know what is going to happen in his life. He said he used to be a drug addict for 14, 15 years, and being a drug addict, to cater for the needs of his drug, he do a lot of things. And he said one day he was passing by this Gurdwara. He said, "Langar free mil jada sanu na," because drug addict, they don't have money anyway. So he went in to have his food, but naturally he went to Matha take. He said when he walked in and when he bowed down in front of Guru Maharaj's charan, he said his forehead touched Guru Maharaj's charan. He said, I don't know what happened. I could not lift my forehead for at least 10 to 15 minutes. It's just like you take two magnets and you join them together. They just glued together. And when he stood up after about 10, 15 minutes, he said, what I felt at that few 10, 15 minutes, he said, I cannot express my feelings. He said, I never felt like this before in my whole life. I've taken so many different drugs, alcohol, and so many things in my life. But this is something really special. And from that day, he actually stayed in the Gurdwara, got rid of his drug habit. There was a Vidyalaya where he studied Gurbani, Kirtan, Tabla, and he became a Giani. So where he was a drug addict, and now he's a Giani. You see how his life changed. So sometimes we cannot really say when we look at someone, we judge him. And then we don't realize next minute he's a Giani, and he's actually inspired so many people in Malaysia. A lot of people walk on the path of Sikhi through his teaching. And that's what I feel. And that's where I got my impression from. That's where I got my sort of support from. And once I remember he is telling me, he said, if you walk on this path, he said, walk on the path on the way. He gave me an example of someone else. He's saying that he came down from India, he got his house, he got his family down, he got his car, he built his house. He did very, very well in his personal life. He said, but the Gurdwara he served, he said there's not even a single person he teach Gurbani, Kirtan, Tabla, or brought in the path of Sikhi. He said, if that's the life you want, he said, it's better going out and working elsewhere. But if you want to follow the path of Sikhi and you follow this path, he said, you need to make something out of your life. You need to do something. From that day, I actually sat down and I told myself, I said, if I'm going to follow this path, I'll always do Bachandi Seva of Gurmat camps, Sikhi camps. And that's what I've been doing it for the last 20, 30 years now. And these are the things which actually, through his teaching, Gurmati's teaching, he just brightened your mind. And the helpline actually made me broaden my mind much, much more not to judge people. Because when I actually see the root of the problem they have at home and the kind of difficulties they face at home, that actually opened my mind and think, you know what, we should not be judging people. We very fast we judge them, but we don't realize why they're doing it, where they're coming from.
That's
right. Yeah. So it's like everyone is on their on their own journey. So we don't know what is actually happening in the back end of that person's life, where they are at. They might even go farther than where we are at right now. So rather than judging them, I think we should be helping them to uplift their state. And probably that's how we can uplift ourselves. Yeah. So I think, wonderful thoughts. And yes. So Gianiji, anything else you would like to add probably before we end today's talk?
Well, I'd like to say thank you for having me on the show. I just received a call and say you come down for the show. I said, not a problem. The topic is judgment. I always say, do not judge anyone. If you can help them, if you cannot help them, just walk away, but don't judge.
Yes.
Because we don't know what kind of life or what kind of problems they have. We had a 9-year-old boy who committed suicide many years ago, and people now when they're looking at his past life, he was bullied in school, and he was bullied very badly that he wrote a small poem. In his poem, he wrote that like Monday I've been bullied, Tuesday my shirt is torn, Wednesday I was full of blood. Now he wrote a poem. Then on Saturday, Sunday is freedom because you don't have to go to school. That means if you really look at his life, he has actually been tortured. So that's where we should try to help someone other than judging them. That's where I leave my thoughts with.
Yes, and we have recently seen the Black Lives Matter, where it seems that it was mainly the intolerance that came in the picture, and we are seeing the results, what's happening in the world, and probably that's somewhere there is a point of judgment in that intolerance as well. Penji, you were going to add something?
I was going to say, so anyone in the UK, if you have any issues, anything that you think that is happening with the children's lives at home, or even when they're back at school or previously, The UK Sikh helpline is absolutely amazing. They're Jardi Kala, they're really approachable as well in person. That's how I know Giani Singh. He's absolutely amazing. So Genji, how else can people reach you or get to join with even your bike rides that happen in September? Although is that going to happen this year or?
Well, we are just looking at the time. We are not sure. It depends on the COVID-19. Things cool down and if the government allows us, and then we'll have our bike ride.
Yeah.
For people to contact the Sikh helpline, we got a SinghHelpline.com website, or they even can call us on our local number on Facebook. Find us Sikh Helpline UK. All our numbers are up there. So if you're facing any kind of issues from domestic violence, alcohol, drugs, mental health, we have kept ourselves very broad, and we got a lot of professional volunteers on board. The helpline, what we did was volunteers want to give their time. So we have a volunteer process where we actually do a full interview. We do a DBS check. It's more like a police check, make sure they don't have any criminal records. Then we take references. Once we've gone through the whole process and we are comfortable with the person, and then we make them as one of our volunteers. And then when we get a case, and then they will deal with the case. One very important thing is confidential information, that we keep everything confidential, because our community is such a small community. Everybody knows each other. So every volunteer will only deal with their own cases. None of them will know about each other cases, to keep things confidential, and so that people feel comfortable calling the helpline and talking to us. And if you're going through any kind of issues, just find the SikhHelpline.com. You go to the website or you go to the Facebook. You can find us, and we are there to help you and support you.
That's great. Thank you so much for coming on to the show. Really appreciate your time. We've learned quite a bit ourselves as well, which has been amazing. And we also hope that the Sangat have enjoyed this as well and enjoyed your company.
Yeah, thank you.
Benji?
Yes, so that was really, enlightening, and I myself learned a lot. And as I said before, we are just all on a journey. So every single day we need to improve. And you have mentioned many strategies that can actually help us to not be judgmental and, to be less judgmental. And that's how every single day, if we can lessen that curve and become a better human and become a better Sikh. So I think that's really important, to connect with Sikhi and, walk on this path. So thank you so much to Giani ji, from Sikh Helpline UK. So in UK Sangat, if you had any concerns or you want to share any story, as Benji mentioned before, please do visit Sikh Helpline website. And also I believe anywhere in even in Australian Sangat, if they want to, share something with their privacy as well. So yes, they can contact as well, I believe. Yeah. So thank you so much, Bhai Sahab ji, for joining our show and sharing your insights. Thank you so much.
Okay, ji. Waheguru ji ka khalsa.
Waheguru ji ki fateh. All right, Benji. So that was really a wonderful chat from Giani ji. I think I personally learned a lot.
Me too. Definitely.
Yes.
And we hope Sangat ji you have as well. And we also hope that, this type of topic, although it's very broad, it's very important because it happens in our day-to-day life, wherever we are. We're very quick to judge, very, very quick. But we should actually step back and realize the situation, or maybe what they've gone through, the history for the person. And if we don't know, there's no harm in asking. And if you don't want to talk about it, that's okay. You just carry on walking because you don't know what they're going through. So that's the message of this, the judgmental topic, which is so broad.
Yeah. So might be, I'll just, recap somewhat in Punjabi as well. So, आज दा जिहड़ा topic ਅਸੀਂ ਗੱਲ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਸੀ, it's about judgment, ਜਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਵੀ ਕੀਤਾ, like, so ਪਰਖਣਾ ਕਿਸੇ ਨੂੰ, ਜਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਹਿ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਾਂ. So I think ਬਹੁਤ ਲੋੜ ਹੈ ਕਿ like what we discussed, ਕਿ ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ ਨਾਲ ਜੁੜਨ ਦੀ, and ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ ਚ ਬਾਰ-ਬਾਰ ਸਾਨੂੰ examples ਮਿਲ ਰਹੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਕਿ rather than ਕਿ ਕਿਸੇ ਹੋਰ ਨੂੰ ਜੱਜ ਕਰਨ ਨਾਲੋਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਆਪ ਨੂੰ ਅਸੀਂ ਅੰਦਰ ਦੇਖੀਏ. ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ ਚ ਬਾਰ-ਬਾਰ ਆਉਂਦਾ ਹੈ, ਹਮ ਨਹੀਂ ਚੰਗੇ, ਬੁਰਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਕੋਈ. So I know ਕਿ ਇਹ ਬਹੁਤ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਬਹੁਤ ਸੌਖਾ ਹੈ, ਲਾਈਫ 'ਚ ਇੰਪਲੀਮੈਂਟ ਕਰਨਾ ਬੜਾ ਹੀ ਔਖਾ ਹੈ, ਤੇ ਉਦੋਂ ਹੀ ਹੋਏਗਾ ਜਦੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ ਨਾਲ ਜੁੜਾਂਗੇ, ਸੰਗਤ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ, ਤੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਕੋਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਕਰੀਏ ਕਿ ਐਵਰੀ ਸਿੰਗਲ ਡੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਆਪ ਤੇ ਫੋਕਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਆਪ ਨੂੰ ਇਸ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਜਜਮੈਂਟਲ ਵਾਲੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹਿਊਮਨ ਬਿਹੇਵੀਅਰ ਹੈ ਇਹਦੇ ਤੋਂ ਦੂਰ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਜਾਈਏ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਨਹੀਂ ਪਤਾ ਕਿ ਕੋਈ ਇਨਸਾਨ ਕਿਸ ਸਟੇਜ ਤੇ ਹੈ, ਕਿਹੜੀ ਅਵਸਥਾ ਤੇ ਹੈ, ਮੇਬੀ ਉਹਦੇ ਅੰਦਰ ਕੋਈ ਦੁੱਖ ਚੱਲ ਰਿਹਾ ਹੈ ਜਾਂ ਉਹਦੀ ਕਿਹੜੀ ਸੰਗਤ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ, ਕਿਹੜੀ ਕੋਈ ਇਫੈਕਟਸ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਉਹਦੀ ਲਾਈਫ ਤੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਪਏ ਹੋਏ ਨੇ ਜਿਹਦੇ ਕਰਕੇ ਕਿ ਉਹ ਇਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਬਿਹੇਵ ਕਰ ਰਿਹਾ ਹੈ। ਸੋ ਰਾਦਰ ਦੈਨ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਉਸ ਪਰਸਨ ਨੂੰ ਜੱਜ ਕਰੀਏ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਉਹਦੇ ਔਗੁਣ ਦੇਖੀਏ, ਅਸੀਂ ਸਿਰਫ ਗੁਣਾਂ ਦੀ ਸਾਂਝ ਕਰੀਏ। ਸੋ ਉਹ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਚੀਜ਼ ਹੈ ਬਹੁਤ ਇੰਪੋਰਟੈਂਟ ਹੈ। ਤੇ ਜੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਇਹ ਸਭ ਕੁਝ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ ਤਾਂ ਸਾਡੀ ਡੇਲੀ ਲਾਈਫ ਦੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਜਿੰਨੇ ਵੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਹੋਰ ਵੱਡੇ ਵੱਡੇ ਇਸ਼ੂਜ਼ ਦੇਖਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਭਾਵੇਂ ਉਹ ਡਿਪਰੈਸ਼ਨ ਹੈ, ਘਰਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੀ ਕਿੰਨੀਆਂ ਲੜਾਈਆਂ ਹੁੰਦੀਆਂ ਹੈ, ਫੈਮਿਲੀ ਵਾਇਲੈਂਸ ਕਿੰਨੀ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਵੱਧ ਗਈ ਹੈ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਬਾਰ-ਬਾਰ ਦੇਖਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਧੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਤੇ ਨੂੰਹ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਫਰਕ ਰੱਖਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਉਹਦੇ 'ਚ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਜੱਜਮੈਂਟਲ ਹੈਗੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਉਹ ਇਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਕਰਦੀ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਇੰਝ ਕਰਦੀ ਹੈ। ਸੋ ਜੇ ਇਹ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਜੱਜਮੈਂਟ ਨੂੰ ਰਿਮੂਵ ਕਰ ਦਾਂਗੇ, ਵੀ ਕੈਨ ਅਸੀਂ ਇੱਕ ਵਧੀਆ ਸੁਸਾਇਟੀ ਦੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈ ਸ਼ੇਪ ਅਪ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਾਂ। ਸੋ ਅਸੀਂ ਡੇਲੀ ਦੇਖ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਕਿੰਨੇ ਇਸ਼ੂਜ਼ ਅੱਜ ਕੱਲ੍ਹ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਹੋ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ, ਸੋ ਉਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹਰ ਕਿਸੇ ਇਸ਼ੂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਿਤੇ ਨਾ ਕਿਤੇ ਜੱਜਮੈਂਟ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਪਲੇ ਕਰ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ। Benji, you want to share your experience?
Yeah, so I think judgment, like I previously said, that it's so easy to judge others, but we should actually look at a whole situation before doing that. And we shouldn't judge anyone without knowing the whole story. And that's really important, whether it's family members, friends, or, you know, even a stranger, a total stranger. We still, as Sikhs especially, we should be more approachable. People should be able to approach us at any time, and we should be humble. And it's really easy to say that, but that's how we should be. Otherwise, you know, we're not practicing. Otherwise, we're not practicing right. So that's the topic for this week, which was the judgment one. We do hope that the Sangat have enjoyed this, whether you've tuned in now or listening to it later. And if you've got any other feedback that you think that we should be talking about as well, other topics, please mention them. Send us a message, send us an email to the Kaur Show. It's hello@thekaurshow.com. Do send us a email as well, and we would be happy to help or guide you where we can help you.
Yes, and just before we go, we might actually introduce everyone with our new website, which has been set up for this particular show. And I might actually share a glimpse of our website, Penji. Here we are. So I'm just going to share our website on the screen, which people can relate to. So this is our brand new website, thekaurshow.com. So for the audience who is looking at our screen, and you can see here, we have got our introductory episode on the top, and here we are. So all the episodes and all the recordings will be uploaded on this show. And as we mentioned before, we do have an email which is set up as well. So this is hello@thekaurshow.com. So if you have any questions, you would like to make any suggestions, please send us an email. And in the future show, it will be great if we can see an engagement, participation, and, you know, more comments. That will keep us motivated to talk, and we know that we are walking in the right direction. So that's very important. So please do share your comments or any questions that you might have in the show itself. And we do thanks Karnail Singh Ji for sharing his comments in this particular show. We were expecting more women who should be commenting, but thanks to you as well. This is about us. It's not only a women show, it's about everyone.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
No worries. Thank you. And see you next week with a different topic and with a new guest as well. So thank you. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.